Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I was just telling our producer, Matt, I'm like, this is day 17 of me working straight. You got to love working in sports. It's a busy time of the year with CU and the Broncos obviously going on. Avs and Nuggets get rolling here very, very soon. I'm excited because we've got our crew over at Denver Sports going out to Avs training camp later this week. We're going to give you guys all the details, all the stories coming out of there. But it's day 17 for me. And also, we have to talk about this. I know people are sick of talking about this, but we have to talk about it. The rumors are freaking true. Travis Kelce, the Chiefs star, is dating Taylor Swift. Are you kidding me? This is incredible. I know people are angry about it. I know women are loving it. I'm loving it. I hope we see her at some Chiefs games. Maybe, when the Broncos play Thursday night, Taylor Swift can be in attendance. I would love to personally see that. We've got a really good show for you guys today. Cameron Wolfe from NFL Network is going to be joining us too. Let me know in the comments how you're doing. I appreciate all the good mornings. I'm all about CU over Denver this year. Hey, Rachel, good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday to Rachel. Appreciate that, Paul. Thanks for hanging with us, you guys. Remember how I told you yesterday I shared this graphic and I said, there's no need to panic, according to NFL. All 0-2 teams, an 0-2 team, I keep wanting to say all. An 0-2 team has made the playoffs in 7 of the past 10 seasons. So I was providing a little bit of hope on this one. And then if you go 0-3, only 2 out of 97 teams have made it into the playoffs if you go 0-3. That's not a good percentage at all by any means. This weekend is actually a must win for the Denver Broncos. And everybody hates to use the term must win, but it is actually 100% a must win for this team. And it sucks because they should have won at least one of the games against the Raiders or the Commanders. The Raiders one was a little bit trickier. I feel like that one was more of a coin flip. We were all hopeful, but we were like, you know what? They've got some key pieces. They've got some good pieces. Jimmy Garoppolo coming over. It was kind of a coin flip. Last week, I thought they for sure should have won against the Commanders. I was like, all right, you got a rookie QB in there. You should be able to provide enough pressure. But their identity and the fact that they have a lack of identity made me think, all right, let's see Denver Broncos. And it felt like they had an identity in the first half. And then we all of a sudden go into it and it's like, this is a completely different team than what we saw in the first half to the second half. And everybody's like, oh, Denver Broncos are going to Bronco again. And they absolutely did while they lose. So it's a must-win game against Miami, who is a very, very talented squad over there. We'll get into it a lot with Cameron Wolfe. They have really good pieces, you guys. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I think that they are actually a contender. I think a lot of people aren't giving them the credit that they deserve. And last year, you have to remember, Tua got hurt and had a serious injury with his concussions, you guys. Concussions are no joke. I feel like a lot of times we kind of put the concussions in they just got a concussion, they'll be fine. People get concussions all the time. No, it's very, very serious when you get a concussion out there. So I think people kind of swept Miami under the rug because that was all going on. And it's not like these concussions just go away. So Tua comes back obviously this year and he looks like he is on fire, you guys. He looks like he's got that connection with everybody on the offense. Their defense, Bradley Chubb. There's so much exciting stuff happening for Miami, which is unfortunate for the Denver Broncos as they go on their first away game as they head down to Miami. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid down there. The Broncos are going to have to adjust to that. It's been gorgeous weather down here in the Mile High City for the past 2 weeks. First of all, week 1, we had cloudy football weather. It was not hot at all. It was just beautiful. Had a slight bit of sprinkle in the air. Last week was 70 degrees and sunny. It was beautiful. Now you go to hot, humid Miami. I'm not loving it. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Broncos feel like CSU to the Chiefs as the Chiefs are to CU. Okay, I like it. Russell Wilson is a washed up Bronco. I'm reading these comments, you guys. 0-3, we will be begging for Rachel vlogs on Coffee Break. Oh gosh, you guys, that's tough. Russell Wilson needs to retire. Russell Wilson has looked so much better though, Marcus. Like, let's go into this comment. Russell Wilson has improved drastically. Now, this is actually an interesting thing. I was listening to The Drive yesterday. I'm like walking my dog and I'm listening to The Drive, and Philip Lindsay and Zach Byer on talking. And Philip goes, like, because everyone's like, well, what happened between first half and second half? Right? We had the hot hands. They had Marvin Mims, who was the hot hand. Like, why weren't they throwing to him more? Philip Lindsay made a really good point about in the locker room, everybody talks, right? And of course, all these wide receivers, they want to get paid. They want to have their numbers look good on the stat sheet. And all of a sudden you're up so big. So players are like, hey, like, give me the ball, right? Give it to me. Like, we'll make some plays. We'll make it work. That's going to help my stat lines like look better. And Philip's like, that does happen in the locker room. You would be surprised. And it makes me wonder, was Russ trying to make everybody happy? Was Russ trying to throw it to Cortland, to Jerry Jeudy, to force it to be able to get those guys on the play sheet and say, hey, like, look we're a well-balanced team. Everybody can be a threat to this. I thought it was such a fascinating conversation, and I actually highly recommend you guys go listen to it on the podcast page at denversports.com after the show. But it was just fascinating of like, we sometimes forget that these players are people and they do want their own stats to look good. So maybe people are talking to Russell Wilson and saying, hey, you guys, come hang out with us. Come throw the ball to us. Like, let's make those stats look good. I'm very curious if you guys actually believe that that happens in the locker room, because I'm kind of mind blown about that. I just think it's one of those things that we don't think. We're just like, oh, Sean Payton's going to call the play. It's going to happen that way. How many times do we see players and plays go completely off? All the time. So it's not surprising at all to me. Super fascinating stuff right there. I think a road game might help right now. I think a road game that wasn't going to be in like 90-degree weather with 100% humidity could definitely help this Denver Broncos team. It's hard to play on the road in the NFL. It's a bummer that they lost 2 home games because you don't get a lot of them in the NFL. Now they have to go win on the road a whole bunch. And it would, of course, be the most Bronco thing ever to go win and beat Miami, a really good, solid team, a well-balanced team, and of course lose to the Commanders and the Raiders. It would be like the most Bronco thing ever. But you guys, we have NFL Network reporter Cameron Wolfe joining us. Let's do it, everybody. Well, you guys, hold on one second. Let's see if we can get this to come back to us. Good question. It just like completely froze on us. So hopefully we can get it back. Don't worry, I'm here. I hear everybody being like, what's up, Rachel? I see you. I don't know why that it's not working, but again, we'll just roll with it. Essentially, Cameron and I, though, we did chat about, well, the pass rush. So Miami has the 11th best in the NFL for QB pressure. Now, in sacks, they're down in the 20s, but 11th best for QB pressure. You guys, we've talked about the offensive line plenty on this show. Plenty. I can't even begin to talk to you about it. And they're not very good. They haven't been very good. For as much money as they spent on the offensive line, we expected them to be a whole lot better. You know what Miami's game plan is going to be? Pressure Russ. It's easy. I can tell you that right now. Vic Fangio is going to say pressure Russell Wilson, and he's going to make mistakes. That's easy to see. So the offensive line is going to have to step up massively this week. What we saw in the first half of the game, that was 100% good quality. They had like a few bumps, but I would give them like a B, maybe a A- almost. It was solid what we saw out of them. Now, what the heck are we supposed to do if Bradley Chubb all of a sudden is getting to Russell Wilson 3-4 times? Also, who's excited to see Bradley Chubb? Let me know in the comments, because he just kind of like, I feel like he was plateauing a little bit here in Denver. Everybody was really sad when he went. I actually saw him a week after he got traded. This is kind of a sad story. I had gone to one of his galas. So of course he had like this whole shoe gala that was planned before he got traded. He gets traded 1 week later. He's flying back. It was a super fun event. And I'm talking to him and I'm like, hey, like, how are you feeling? Like, you're headed down to Miami, obviously. Like, how are things? And he was like, good. And he's like, I'm really heartbroken though. I thought I was going to spend like the rest of my career here in Denver. And you could just tell he's kind of emotional, and I feel for him. And he's just talking me through, and he's like, we have got to do all this moving now. And it's just different things. Like, I'm having to essentially make new friends and like meet all these new people, figure out the scheme that they're already doing because it's the middle of the season. And all I can think now is he left to such a better situation. Like, he was in such a bad situation here in Denver. And look at what they're doing now. Miami is such a solid team. They're so well balanced. And my heart does just like break because, of course, you're like, well, this sucks. Like, I do feel bad for him. He's having to change his whole life. And look at a year later, he's absolutely thriving. He's on the uprising. I'm really happy for Bradley just as a person overall. And I think it's going to be really cool for him to reunite with a lot of his players or his former fans too. Let's see. Comment. Chubb is deeply missed. I forgot about Bradley Chubb. How could you forget about Bradley Chubb? Somebody said 2 games now, our opponent made adjustments at the half and we didn't. It's fair. That's actually a very fair point. It felt like the Broncos never made adjustments. They just assumed and they went with it. And it's now, I want to say, I think the stat is 7. It might be 7 or 9, you guys. I'm blanking on the stat. 7 or 9 games that the Broncos have been leading at half and they've lost. It's the most in the NFL. Like, that is crazy. That is proving that there is something going on, that they just must think that they are fantastic and they don't have to adjust and they just need to play their own game. That's not how the NFL works. Regardless of if you are absolutely playing your own game, you have to make small adjustments here and there for the other team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Trade Justin Simmons too. I've been saying this for 2 years now. This is a good question for the comments. Let me know if you think the Broncos should trade Justin Simmons. We're going to let the comments roll in here a little bit on this one. I don't think so, but I'm very, very curious to what everybody else has to say. I don't know. It's interesting. Going back to this trying to please everyone, though, with Russell Wilson, you can't play. I know Jerry Jeudy wants to get paid and make all this money and, be the superstar. You can't please everybody. Jerry Jeudy is, of course, going to be the number 1 receiver that everybody is trying to cover. That's just essentially what it is. And that's because we've been talking about his potential for years and years and years. I'm sick of talking about Jerry Jeudy's potential. I want to be talking about his execution on the field. I'm done talking about his potential and how he's so great and how he's like looks fantastic. That's great, Jerry Jeudy. We can talk about that for the first year. Your rookie season, that would have been fantastic. We now need to be talking about your execution and how you stand out of all the wide receivers in the NFL. That's how high your ceiling is. We haven't seen it yet. And I understand he's been hurt. So for everybody that's going to come at me and say, I completely get it, he has been hurt. And that 100% does suck. Okay. I get it. And there's a little part of you that's like, well, maybe he's thinking, oh, it might be hard to get off the line a little bit faster, right? Like, we know him for his speed, not necessarily his ability to get open, but his ability to be fast enough to get open, right? Like, there's a difference between being able to get somebody off of you, but having the speed to absolutely move and be faster than your defender. He has that speed. We know he can do that. But if he is a little bit injured, and at this point in the season, you're pretty much going to be hurt for the rest of the time. If he can't get over that mental block to say, hey, I got to be able to get off this super fast, this block super fast, then it's not going to work for Jerry Jeudy. Courtland Sutton, the separation, it's been a little bit better, but we saw the PI call on him. He's got to be able to get more separation than that, unless they were just looking to hopefully get a flag, which in that case, that's a terrible foolproof plan at that. Reading the comments now, because I definitely want to see if people think we should trade Justin Simmons. It's too early to trade the stars. Oh, people are saying 100% don't trade Simmons. I'm not a clean the house type of fan, but I'm getting closer to that thinking. Interesting. Continue to get the ball to Marvin Mims. Exactly. Let him be the star. Let him be the star. We'd love to see a rookie. VJ needs to go again, you guys. Trust me, I'm fully no. We don't need to trade Justin Simmons. We already don't have any depth. And that's very, very true. Right now, they are lacking in the depth. They need PJ Locke to come back. After week 4, he comes off IR, but they have to get him back sooner rather than later. That's going to be absolutely just necessary for this team. Vic prevents the defense. Lots of people. I'm also curious. Give me this. Did you want to have Vic Fangio come back, or did you want Vance Joseph to come back? That's another really good question that I would love for you guys to answer in the comments, because a lot of people wanted Vic Fangio to come back. He's been a defensive guru, and I know a lot of people like Vance Joseph as an individual, but he didn't really have a great track record here in Denver. He hasn't had exactly a hot track record with Arizona. Things weren't fantastic by any means. Vic Fangio has kind of always had that defensive mind. Obviously, he didn't work out as a head coach here in Denver, and I think that was for multiple reasons, not exactly just his defensive scheme, but I'm curious which one you wanted as well. I do want to move on, though, because Coach Prime continues to impress me every single day, and we talked about this story a little bit yesterday about Henry Blackburn, the CSU player who hit Travis Hunter on the sidelines. And if you didn't know, he was getting, well, both him and his mom were getting death threats. His entire family's address was released on the internet following the game. It was really sad, to be completely honest with you. And I got on here and I essentially yelled at everybody. And I was like, it is not okay to dox anybody on the internet. It is a game. And Coach Prime continues to impress me day in and day out, because he says, you know what, everybody? You don't do that. It was a hit. It was a football game. You just do that. And he talked really highly about, honestly, Henry Blackburn, and said, like, it's not okay to do that to anybody. It's just a game at the end of the day. Coach Prime has such a level head, you guys. It's actually really impressive. It really is, because he talks about his blessings a lot, right? And he's obviously dealing with all these health issues, and people are like, you know, do you ever say, why me, why me, why me? And he's like, I can't say why me, because if I say why me, then essentially I have to say, why me about all these blessings? And it's really impressive just the way he handles himself in those press conferences, where it could be super easy to go at Henry Blackburn, but he's not going to. He's not going to say that. One, it doesn't benefit anybody else. The play happened. It was a football play. It's going to happen. We see, I don't want to say it was targeting, because it wasn't called targeting, but we see plays like that every single day in college football and in the NFL. He made a play. It was an emotional game. I think, honestly, everybody needs to get over it. Travis Hunter has clearly gotten over it. He says, you know, that's what happens in football. He's going to be out the next couple of weeks with that lacerated kidney. But Coach Prime has really just impressed me overall with everything he has to say. We're going to talk about the coaching battles and getting personal again here in a second. But it really just has been impressive of what he's been able to do and the conversations he's been able to have while people are absolutely just dissing on him constantly. And I got to give it to him, because as a CSU Ram, you guys, I want to hate him, right? But it's impossible to hate him. It's impossible to hate his program because of how well that they've actually continued to be, and because they have their identity. Actually, you want to talk about like complete black and white, the identity that the CU Buffs have compared to the non-identity that the Denver Broncos have. The CU Buffs know who they are. We may all be like, oh, the sunglasses, the hats, the stars, everybody out there. Yeah, that may be like one part of their identity, but I think that there's a lot of hard work that's also going into their identity up there in Boulder. And I think we need to give a lot of praise to that, because Shedeur Sanders said after the game against CSU is, you guys don't understand, essentially, is we have to keep winning or all of this goes away. If they do not continue to put out on the field, then all this attention goes away. Everything about this goes away. And if you didn't see, Coach Prime is known for the vlogs that they have, and it's actually really fun and kind of a great inside look to what the program is looking like. But people were asking him, essentially, Shedeur, Shiloh, and Coach Prime were at the Broncos game in a box on Sunday. And Coach Prime has them turn the camera on to say, hey, guess what? Shiloh and Shedeur think that they're going to be playing on this stage next year. They're going to be playing against these players next year. And Coach Prime says, nuh-uh. No, you're not going anywhere. So if you're a Buff fan and you're worried about Shiloh and Shedeur going off to the NFL, Coach Prime doesn't think so. And I actually think it's kind of interesting. I would love to know, because Coach Prime has obviously been very open about how he like rates his kids. I'm very curious if he's just straight up going to be like, you guys aren't ready to go into the NFL, right? Like, talk about fatherly love. I'm just super curious if he's going to be like, you guys aren't ready. You think you're ready because you've won 3 games, but like you're not actually ready for this. So I'm curious how that conversation went, but I also appreciate Coach Prime for kind of giving us that inside look into it. Want to keep the comments coming, everybody. Please keep them. I hope the outside garbage doesn't burn out Coach Prime. It has to wear on you no matter who you are. Prime doesn't diss others. He simply props his team up all the time. I think his confidence is uncomfortable to others and they can't handle it. Ooh, I actually love that comment. I think that he's truly just authentic to who he is and people don't like it. People don't like the success, which also leads us into you guys. It's personal again up in Boulder. It really is. And this was actually personal way back in August. So if you don't remember, during Pac-12 Media Days, Oregon's head coach, Dan Lenning, essentially came out and said, I'm trying to remember what they won to affect this conference. And I don't remember. Do you remember them winning anything? I don't remember them winning anything. Okay. Interesting. I don't know if that's exactly a good look for Oregon's head coach. I won't lie to you on that one. Here's my thing, and you guys tell me what you think, because I don't see the need to talk crap on anyone, right? Like I don't feel a need to do that. And especially when it's one thing when it's like the week that you guys are going to meet, right? To like try and fire up your team a little bit. But when we're talking about media days, Dan could have easily come out and said, you know what? Whatever Colorado wants to do. It doesn't affect my program, whatever. But instead, he throws that diss out and be like, I don't remember them doing anything. Okay, well, first of all, this is the first year for a head coach too, right? That's supposed to change the culture and is changing the culture. So why are you coming out here and being like, oh, like whatever, it's fine. Like, I don't remember them doing anything. That has nothing to do with clearly who's running the organization or the team at the time. I know, it just seems like such a weird diss to throw at the very beginning of a season. I don't understand. I think it would be better, honestly, now to come out and say something about what we've actually seen on the field. I don't think Oregon can do that because what are they going to say? It's obviously been a lot of rainbows and sunshine for CU. They had a great comeback win against CSU. I will totally admit that. So I just don't understand why people continue to throw these disses. It's personal, take 4. I have a feeling it's going to be personal every single week when it comes to the CU Buffs team. I don't get it. If CU wins on Saturday, Oregon will remember for a long time. I think everybody will remember for a long time, right? This is going to be the first real opponent for CU, and they are absolutely going to have to go out there and play their best game. I was watching that vlog after the football stuff, and they're talking about, like, they're in a team meeting at that point, and it's like, what is it going to take for this week? And Coach Prime says, hard work. And he's like, but not the hard work that we've been doing. This is going to be even harder. This is going to be more that we're going to have to give. It's a different level now as they go to take on Oregon. Not trying to take anything away from my CSU Rammies or TCU or Nebraska, but Oregon's next level because they've proven themselves at this point, right? And I think there is a little bit of a sense of, hey, we have the tape now. The TCU game, they had no tape on anybody. Nebraska, they only had one game. Oregon now has kind of a blueprint of how they can take down this CU team based on what CSU did. But here's the thing. CU still was able to pull it off. Coach Prime said he only wants to he wants the ball to be in Shedur's hands because he trusts Shedur. He knows Shedur can make good plays. So there's a little bit of what does actually need to happen to take down this CU Buffs team? It's a really good question. I don't know the answer to it, right? I thought that they applied a lot of pressure. CSU applied a lot of pressure to Shedur. They had his first interception on the season. They sacked him multiple times. Okay, great. So you're able to do all of those things. Well, what else do you have to do? Does the defense need to step up more? Is it going to be a high-scoring game on Saturday? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments if you think that this is going to be a defensive battle or a high-scoring game, because we've seen both sides of that from CU so far this season. It's like they have this identity, and yet they have different playmakers who are able to show up each and every time, and I'm just so curious what we're going to get each time that they come out. I also think that they've withstand the media attention. Right? I thought College Game Day and having Big Noon Kickoff out there again, having the Pat McAfee Show and Sports Center and everybody was going to be too much for them. And I thought it was going to cloud their vision a little bit, right? And I think it did, honestly, in the first half for a little bit. It was The moment was so big that they had to live up to it. But now they've proven. So the rest of the time for this season, it's going to be like, okay, whatever. We're just here. Prime is flashy, but even if it's not your thing, do you see him talking to players and hugging them? He loves his players, in my opinion. It's nice. I agree with that. It is nice. Prime does care about his players. I think he wants them all to succeed. I also think that's why he's telling Shedeur and Shiloh, like, you're not going in the NFL. We're doing this thing for one more year. We're going to continue to do this thing for one more year. Also, has everybody seen the mock drafts right now? That they actually have Shedeur and some of them coming to the Denver Broncos. First of all, that tells you about the state of the Denver Broncos and how bad that is. But they actually have Shedeur being drafted by the Denver Broncos. Like, what? Wouldn't that be such a full circle moment? I can't even imagine if that was actually the case, to be completely honest with you. It would be such. Let me know in the comments, right? This is the best part about the show, is that you guys can all put your input. Would you like to see Shedeur Sanders in a Denver Broncos uniform? Would that feel very full circle, or would it feel more full circle if he went to like the Cowboys or something, right? Obviously, where his dad has a bunch of history. That's the question I want you guys to answer in the comments, because I'm just interested. Somebody says Oregon's going to blow them out. Yeah, they haven't seen a real defense yet. Kinda. I think that this is going to be a really tough game for CU to win. I'm not counting them out. I feel like you can't count them out until they have at least one loss, because they figured out multiple ways to win. But I do think it's actually really fascinating. Yesterday, I think we kind of talked about this a little bit, but next Saturday, USC, CU here in Boulder, that time is set for 10 a.m. again. I'm really sad I actually will not be able to go to that game, which is kind of a bummer, but that's going to be another great game. I think USC is still number 5. I have to remember. I know CU obviously dropped down one spot, but USC is number 5 in the AP poll, and that's going to be one hell of a game. If they somehow can beat Oregon this weekend, you guys, and then they have number 5 USC here in Boulder, Boulder is going to be absolutely insane. Let me know also in the comments, do you like early kickoffs or do you prefer late night kickoffs? As a media member, I like the 10 a.m. kickoffs because that doesn't mean I get home at 3 a.m. in the morning. But as a fan and just somebody who loves college football and football in general, the night games are way better. Like, who doesn't love watching a night game? And knowing that the whole country is staying up, all 11.1 million people who stayed up to watch the Rocky Mountain Showdown, like, you can't beat that. There's always soccer games or, other things going on during the day. But when you can get a night game like that, so much freaking fun. All right, getting to the comments before we end the show today. Chills, yes, 100% agree. 100% Shedeur in orange and blue. Okay. I'm a USC fan. Oh, Marcus, why, dude? Why? I like early kickoffs because my old ass can't stay up late. I get you. Drake May or Shedeur? Drake May. Sorry, you have to go with Drake May. And honestly, the only reason I say this is because it feels more like Drake May has proven it. He's gone up against that really tough competition for a couple of seasons now. That doesn't mean that I could have a different opinion, right? If it's next year, if both of them were in the same class. So I'm still going Drake May, but that's just because it feels more like he's gone up against that competition. And we know that jump to the NFL is absolutely next level. But yeah, I have to say that. Drake May is the next Trubisky. Ooh, ouch. Let's see. Neither is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is going to be really good, you guys. It's going to be so much fun. Shedeur and Deion would revitalize the image and the culture of the Broncos. Here's the thing, and a lot of people aren't going to like this. Shedeur could go to the Broncos. That doesn't mean Deion's going to the Broncos. That doesn't mean Deion's going to be the next head coach of the Broncos by any means. It's probably not going to happen. And he already said he doesn't want to go to the NFL. While I think Deion, to a sense, would absolutely love to follow his sons, it's not going to happen. It's just not. So no, Deion's not going to go. He's going to stay at the college level. And he also, I think he came out and said something about like it's way harder to pump up guys because it's all about money. Like the NFL is strictly a business compared to, for a lot of them, it's, yes, there's the NIL deals, but for a lot of them, it's like their passion and their life goals is to get to that NFL level. And it can be a lot harder to motivate guys once they're actually in the NFL. If the money is right, he will go. Here's the thing. I don't think the Broncos would look at it and be like, Deion, We're throwing everybody else out the window. Come on down. Come be in the NFL. I just don't anticipate that happening. Let's see. Fix the offensive line. We can fantasize all we want, but nobody's succeeding behind that offensive line. I said that's going to be the key. They have their hardest test for the Denver Broncos this weekend is going to be the offensive line and protecting Russell Wilson. If they can do that, I give them a shot. If Russ gets sacked 1 or 2 times or the QB pressure rate is so high in just the first quarter, it's done. They're going to be 0-3. This season's going to be over. People are going to freak out here in Broncos country, but at least we do have the buffs, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging with me here on Coffee Break this morning. A full 30 minutes of just chatting with you guys. I appreciate it. Still loving the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift stuff. Like, trust me, the jokes are just going to continue. I can't wait for that game against the Chiefs. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. Love you guys so much. We'll see you guys then. Bye.